Hi, everybody. Jay Vella, Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Reasonable Doubt. First time we're back, and I cannot be happier to be with two incredible individuals. One, fellow host and best friend, good friend, Justin Harris. How you doing?
Good. I got demoted like all in one sentence. Best friend to good friend.
Best
That's
friend,
cool.
good
I see
friend.
how it is. I
Hey,
see how
look,
it is.
we have HCCLA, future president-elect, killer, in trial, amazing, super mentor, and really is really a lot of the defense bar and knowledge and mentorship. Jed Silverman, personal friend and mentor of mine as well.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier to be here.
Trial lawyer extraordinaire.
You know,
Prosecutor slayer.
I remember starting out. I'm a 13-year lawyer, and compared to you, I'm a baby lawyer. I remember just even wanting to be in the same room as you, Jed, and you are an amazing mentor. You serve on all sorts of committees and boards, and I just want to thank you, man. I haven't seen. I mean, I see you in the courthouse.
Yeah.
But we're finally back in the studio, and I just want to say thank you for being here, man.
Oh no, it's my pleasure to be here. I couldn't be more excited than taking over the helm after Joe Venus finishes his term, and really boosting HCCLA and taking us to where we need to be. So I couldn't be happier to be here right now.
I will say that.
Look, we got another guest.
Who's coming on? Who's coming on?
Harris County Criminal Court of Law number 5, Judge David Fleischer.
Judge Fleischer, how are you, sir?
Sitting in a dark room. What, did the power go out? See, the fans are on.
Who's coming on? Who's coming on?
Hey man, I have to echo.
Judge David Fleischer.
We're getting feedback. We're getting feedback.
Did the power go out? Judge Fleischer must be streaming it from home too. Oh, there's some light.
Crap. All right, let me get that off. Hold on.
Hey, Judge, can you fix your Zoom, please, Judge? Can you fix your Zoom?
I'm out.
I'm kidding.
Is that better?
It's better, man. It's better.
I have to echo everything you said about Jed.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
just hands down, dude. It's bar none.
It's bar none, man.
It's there's no doubt, Jed. You're
I,
the best, man.
I appreciate it, and I couldn't be prouder of the work that you're doing, Judge, on the bench.
I mean, I don't know about that. I just, I saw JV last night, and we were at an event, and I think that probably the most difficult thing, and like I was telling him, is to have patience, and if you don't have patience and if you don't have empathy, then you can't do it, and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's not hard to be nice.
No.
It's not. Jed, what do you think the future of the justice system, primarily defense bar, what do you think the future holds with? What do you think are some of the biggest things that we're gonna have to tackle and address that are coming up?
I think that in Harris County we have definitely been on the right track. With respect to bond reform, with respect to the diversionary programs, especially in misdemeanor court. I think that's exactly where we need to be. And I handle cases all over the United States, and other jurisdictions are the ones that aren't in line with us right now are really falling into place, whether they're conservative places or liberal places. And so I'm really I'm proud to practice law primarily in Harris County because I think we're light years ahead of where other jurisdictions are. We have a couple of courts in the county that we're still dealing with our bond issues. And, that's a huge problem. A collateral consequence of the pandemic from both the defense and the prosecution perspective is we have a lot of people that just aren't getting the experience that they need. in order to evaluate cases, both from the defense and the prosecution perspective. And so that's an issue that we're going to be dealing with.
Have you found Judge Fleischer? I mean, it's been a year, and you were presiding over. I don't know how. There's probably only, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 people that have had the bench that you currently are on. How have you, and as a defense attorney, as your history as a lawyer, what were some of the biggest challenges during COVID? Talk to the people.
I think being efficient was probably a big issue, you know?
Who led the charge and how? I mean, so you all had to somehow cease your dockets, get on Zoom, and make it work. Was it easy for you? I mean, the answer, that's a softball. I mean, I don't think it was probably easy for you, but what was your thought process? What were you as a human feeling when, the pandemic hit?
You know, it was hard making the transition initially. After a while, just like anything in life, you adapt to the change and you try to do it as best as you can, and you want it to not affect you in any way, because if it does, it's just going to radiate and affect everyone else.
Do you like Zoom? Do you plan on keeping it?
I'm going to keep it. I'm not doing away with it. If lawyers want to come to Zoom, I have no problem with it. If they want to come in person, I have no problem. Do whatever you want. You're a big boy. Handle business. I'm not going to micromanage you. Just, the only problem I have is, people coming and not doing anything and resetting for the sake of resetting it. We have a job to do. Let's be efficient. Let's get it done. That's all. I'm not asking for much. If you want to appear by Zoom, fantastic. Get what you need to get it done, and move on. That's it.
Do you find that there's, obviously the lack of jury trials and the threat of jury trials have played an important part on, and also social distancing and the pandemic have played a part in cases getting resolved. Do you find, what are your thoughts on on waste? Do you think that there's any things that can be improved, and what are they? And I'm happy to give you my defense perspective, but also
Go ahead, JV
and Justin.
Please.
Well, I ask you as a judge. I mean, and if not, then Justin or Jed. It's been a year, and there's a backlog, and so what do we do? And as defense attorneys from this side, what do we do? And how can we recover, and how?
I don't think it's necessarily your guys' fault. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. The only thing that I know is that the constant problem are the videos, right? Is that, one of the biggest things are that we can't.
You don't mean the videos of like Zoom. You mean the videos of the alleged evidence that the district attorney's office is required to turn over to the defense.
Right. I think that's the biggest holdup that we have.
Yeah, and the problem is that like in Harris County, and they haven't quite figured out how to put the videos on the portal, and so the Houston Police Department now is sending us the links, and they have their system set up, but there's especially the older members of the bar are just not as comfortable dealing with the technology, and the reality of the world that we live in is you have to adapt, and so you just don't.
You're right, and I think that's where we're headed, and I think that people have to learn, because that's ultimately we are transitioning away from hard to electronic.
Yeah, no,
right.
and that's true in state court. It's true in federal court. Something sent to you electronically, that's notice. And
but we got to keep in mind that in JV and I have been practicing less than the other two of you, but in both JV and I career, we had to sometimes carry around VHS tapes to stop by the DA video intake and like watch as a VH tape was recorded in this little room with like a indoor sliding glass door. And that was not that long ago. I haven't been a lawyer that long. This will be 10 years for me. Um, so, I mean, there have been in some ways leaps and bounds from a system of VHS tape to now we can get them electronically emailed to us, but they still are lagging so woefully behind in keeping up with the technology.
Well, I mean,
even technology from a couple of years ago.
You can't say, oh, hey, here's a link for HPD offense report 537879. Okay,
right.
Great.
Who tracks the case?
Yeah,
who tracks the case by offense report, except for the
wonderful.
police?
You know, I can't speak for all the judges, obviously, but you know, I want to thank you guys for being patient with us too. I think that we're all in this together. It's a work in progress, and you know, you have to be patient with us as well. I mean, we're trying to do the best we can with what we were given.
Do you accept, Judge?
Well, I gotta say, Judge, my brother-in-law, who, due to my father's the way his life went, he's what, 30 years older than me. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, my older sister's husband, he lives in College Station, and he likes to just hop on court streams around the state and watch courts. And I'll be in court on Zoom one day, and he'll start texting me that I randomly fell into a court he's watching. He says that I'm not kissing butt or anything here. He says that you're his favorite judge.
Me?
Yeah. Of all the judges he watches, he's like, I really like that Fleischer in Court 5 in Harris County. So, you know, you've kept a lot of patience too. I've seen a lot of judges of all different experience levels, backgrounds, lose their cool with stuff, get frustrated, mute people, kick people out of Zooms. And,
well,
you know, that's to answer JV's question is, you know, what we have to keep doing. I think when you keep in mind the way that this system is set up, we're on the defense. Judges are neutral arbiters who don't have a dog in the fight. The person who brings the charge and carries the burden throughout the case is the prosecutor's office. So we as defense attorneys really just have to keep doing what we always do, which is defending our clients and being ready for whatever's coming our way. Judges have to keep doing what they're required to do, which is being neutral arbiters. And as you said, being patient and being compassionate. Prosecutors, if you want to talk about where the backlog is coming from, it's from the person who files all the cases. In this case, the Harris County District Attorney's Office. So we have to keep doing what we're doing, and judges have to do the same. And I've seen that from you, Judge.
Well, I learned from the best. I mean, I learned from Jed. You guys know I used to work for Jed, right?
I know. We all know that. We all know that.
I mean, this is like
way back when. I remember that.
Flintstones, man.
I remember that. I mean, that's when I was working for anybody who'd pay me $1. I was working for.
The thing is with your court, Judge, is that it is as close to the same on Zoom. It's as close to the same experience of being in the courtroom as you could get. You know, I had a federal sentencing in Minnesota that we did on Zoom, and the judge told me before the sentencing, if you can set up a camera in your office and it's going to capture you, your client, any other lawyers that are going to be there, and it's got the same effect as we're in the courtroom, we can do it. And it's like, that's what you've done. And it really is. Yeah, I mean, it's great. And Zoom should. I mean, this is my input on how we should do things. It's like I think the idea of using Zoom for all of the preliminary stuff, preliminary court appearances, great idea. Then I think as far as pretrial monitoring, the county should use regional probation offices for drug testing, and then these people who a lot of them are already economically challenged, they don't have to drag downtown for all this stuff. They still need to be monitored. I mean, I don't have a problem with that at all. You know, it's just when a person's accused of a crime, I think it's completely reasonable to have reasonable conditions of bond. But I just think there's a better way of doing it.
One of the nice things that came out of the pandemic, at least for me in dealing with our stuff, was remember the old days where we would have, 60, 90 people on the docket, and you would have every single defendant come into court. That's just so unnecessary. And now, with what we've dealing with or what we've learned and now how we're doing, the only time you need to come into our court is if it's a first setting or you're ready to plead or there's a bond violation. Yeah. Other than that, there's no reason for you to come in. None.
Right.
Then if you're really, if you're to play the conservative cost savings side of the fence, it's like I've been doing this for 21 years now. And I, watched the transition to the new courthouse and all over the United States. The buildings in urban places, the courthouses are having to get bigger, taller. You're having to have more parking for people.
No. I mean, what
if,
for?
If we followed the model, like the judge is saying, where we have our Zoom court appearances, we have people monitored at at probation offices, as part of pretrial conditions. The counties throughout the country wouldn't have to continue building bigger and bigger and bigger courthouses. You go over to the civil courthouse and it's a ghost town, because the only time you go down to civil court is when something's happening. That's why the building runs the way it runs, and there's no reason that we couldn't run the same way. Federal court is that way. In federal court, when you go to federal court, there's a reason you go there. It isn't just, hey, what's going on? It just doesn't, that's not the way it is. And then everybody's monitored through the probation office or pretrial services.
Let me bring it back to some of the. So let me ask you, Judge, why, if everything had moved to electronic and not having to be there in person, not necessarily you, but across the board, at least on the first appearance, they still require the individual who's accused or with the case to show up to court. Why can't it be done electronically on the first setting as well?
I mean, for example, like if you have a DWI, typical DWI with me, I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, what I'm going to typically order is no drugs, no alcohol, and they have to go to pretrial services for that first meeting. And then also, for, like an assault case or something like that, where there's an alleged CW, that's something else we might need.
Do you like the old pretrial services director who's been on the show before was let go? Do you like the new pretrial services? And I don't think there's a director anymore, right? At least at the moment.
There's an interim director.
I have no idea.
Do you, so a lot of the things that we face are the magistrates providing maybe extra bond conditions.
I take them off, man.
Right, and so I'm asking you.
No. Like if I see someone at first DWI, they come into with me, and I see that there's an interlock or a scram, I'm gonna take it off. I mean, I have a certain way of doing things, and I respect the way that they're gonna do it. If they want to do it, that's great. And I don't know how other judges are gonna handle it, but for me, I have a certain way of doing things, and if I see that's gonna happen, I'm usually gonna take it off.
Have you seen an increase? So the big fear was that everybody's out on misdemeanors unless you have some sort of felony hold, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, unless you have some sort of felony hold or some other issue that's going on. Has the nightmare occurred on that side, as far as letting everyone loose on PR bonds, and Gotham City has run amok? What are your takes and thoughts on the felony side? There's some of them getting out, and some have been under some heat, and we know the media has played a really big has hammered some of these district court judges. But on the misdemeanor side, what are your thoughts on it?
If I have a person that has issues, then I'm going to put the appropriate conditions on them. What's going to be more scary is what happens September 1st. What's going to happen September 1st? Right.
Well, tell me I don't know what
all
happens.
These guns are going to be blazing everywhere, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell is going to happen now?
Yeah. It's just, the judge is referring to the new gun laws.
Yeah.
The lack thereof.
Right.
Are we going to see any more UCWs?
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be hard. Talk about
Can we see any more UCWs?
The audience, what the laws are going to change on September 1st. For those who haven't heard.
Just open carry, right? I mean, as far as I know.
Yeah, no licensure requirements.
But can you carry? Can you open carry?
That, I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the actual bill, so I'm not gonna,
I think you can open carry. I'm not sure. I believe there are some restrictions as far as the things that would constitute UCW right now. If you're committing another Class B or above offense at the same time. If you have a domestic violence case on your background, I think there's still some of those restrictions, but I think it's going to be a problem to get over that first hurdle to determine if that person is unlawfully carrying a weapon. And we say UCW, that's what we mean, unlawfully carrying a weapon. So I'm not really a big fan of that law, and I'm not really sure how it's going to come out. And I know that a lot of law enforcement is not very keen on it either.
Do we think that all these NRG trials that have been going on are coming back, or are they lawful and constitutional?
I know at some point we'll get them back. I mean, I'm ready.
Oh no, you're talking about whether or not they'll be reversed on appeal.
Right.
You know, you've tried several cases there. I've tried one, and frankly, it was a very uncomfortable way to try a case. And I know JV's tried serious cases, picked serious juries over there. And I've talked to people, just other citizens who've been on jury panels. They hate it. They can't. It's very uncomfortable. They haven't been able to hear anything. Now, whether or not it's going to get you relief on appeal, I'll be surprised. I say no.
I don't think so either.
I don't think anybody, the people I haven't heard about anybody who's been objecting, who's made a record that would support a reversal, based on a Sixth Amendment violation.
The COA and the CCA are going to be really good at bending over backwards to deny relief, I think.
Yeah.
How was that, Judge, balancing the idea of I mean, you obviously were in touch with the legal community regarding having jury trials. That's a pretty, you come in, you're a judge, and now you got to make these big decisions to have COVID trials.
I didn't want to do it until I knew it was, safe. And for me, I just started having them last month. When I knew that.
I was going to say, you haven't.
No, we haven't. We've had some set. They've all not gone. But I didn't personally want to do it until people felt safe, and more than a good amount of people were vaccinated. So it appears that it's that way now, and people want trials.
They do.
It's time.
Have you heard what's the inside skinny on when we're getting back to the CJC?
I don't know. I think now I heard that the felony DAs are coming back pretty soon.
Yeah, they're back.
Are they back already now? They're back? Okay, and then the misdemeanor ones are still going to be out. I mean, maybe a year or two, because I think theirs is still getting built out. But as far as
you mean back in the building, like their officers back in the building?
Right. And
then you're saying that the felony DAs are back on the 6th, 7th, and 8th floor, or you're saying they're back in the courtroom?
I don't know if the felony DAs are back in their offices, but they're in the courtroom.
They're supposed to move in today or Monday.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, where they're actually moving back from, I don't know if they were at the Jefferson location, back to the actual CJC.
There's a whole generation of ADAs who've never been in the courtrooms during regular docket. They've all come up for a year and a half on Zoom dockets. There's some that probably didn't know that they did an office at 500 Jefferson. And so I was just thinking about that today. Are they still taking the shuttle? There's still that DA shuttle between the CJC and 500 Jefferson, or how are they doing with that? Are they socially distancing on the shuttle?
I was coming into court, and I saw this flood of people crossing the street. And I was like, here comes a jury panel. And I forget whoever I was with. It's like, no, those are the DAs. I was like, oh, they're back. They're coming over. Great. Hey,
how's business with you guys? Is it dipped because of the pandemic? Is it back to normal levels?
Well, yeah. No, go for it, Jed.
Mine's roaring.
Yeah, we're
great.
Yeah, we're super busy. We're super busy.
And I think everything has backed up. I think for me at least. Hey, and the Mac's coming in. I I don't know if I'll ever take a misdemeanor appointment again. I really don't. I don't know if I'm blacklisting myself at this point, but the idea of, so the MAC is coming in. Look, I'm all for less cases. Oh no, less cases, fair pay, or fair cases.
Well,
fair
let's ask Judge Fleischer. We haven't talked to him about the MAC before. What do you think about the MAC, Judge?
I think it's great.
Sorry, JV.
I think it's great.
All right.
It's out of my hands. One less thing.
Yeah,
But you never called me to come work in your court, so.
Well, no. Well, let me articulate the things that we're talking about. Okay, number one is, look, I don't take appointments in courts that I don't want, and so we're gonna have to pick. If they call you, you have to accept it, but you don't know what court you're gonna work in. And that is not going to work if we have to be in multiple courts because of other dockets on a daily basis. I'm not going to take there. And there's courts that don't call me because I don't take appointments in their court. And there's courts that do call me because I do. So the lawyer won't know what court they're in until they accept the appointment. And after they accept the appointment, then they can actually go to court to whatever court it is. But we obviously know that there's some courts even now that aren't even allowing individual lawyers to show up in person. There's some misdemeanor courts that there's no in-person appearances available at all.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem with how things are in our county is the lack of continuity. Because like today, I had business that I needed to take care of in person, in court. And then, I go down to another courtroom and I'm told that I can't be there.
Yep.
And I mean,
in a misdemeanor court?
Misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor court. I think it's court 3, man. I'm calling. Yeah, it's
Court 3. You walked in there and the
You
bailiffs are on you like, what are you doing here?
Why are you here? When I have cases set in district court in the 176, and if I'm not there, or my client, if he doesn't show up, he's going to get his bond revoked, and if I'm not there, I'm going to risk getting a show cause order. And so it's just the lack of and then the 338 is not even open. It's not even there, and so it's just. That's the biggest problem we're dealing with in our county right now. And then because there is no continuity and things have been changing so much, our clients, and I know you guys are the same, are calling your office nonstop because
I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. Do I have to go? Do I not have to go?
It's like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
And then the other problem I can tell you that is for lawyers. I'm the chair for the State Bar District 4 Grievance Committee, and we're seeing an influx of neglect cases because attorneys with COVID have just they're just kind of floating around out there, and I can tell. And this is our ethics part of our talk tonight: is that the State Bar has no patience for that. It's just in all the I've had several grievance hearings since the pandemic started, and I haven't seen anybody get a pass because of COVID. So
no kidding.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. Oh
wow.
yeah. It's just and it's just I might sit on an unusually harsh panel other than my district responsibility, but it's a delicate balance. On the one hand, we've got to get our jobs done. And, on the other hand, it's just we want to relay correct information to our clients. We want to do our job. It's just that this is the struggle in a huge county like Harris County. I was in Refugio the other day. That's easy. It's one judge. Everybody knows what's going on. But we're dealing with 38 different countries in Harris.
It reminds me of Jonathan Landers' post where he's got a picture going right here. It says Kangaroo Court.
Yeah.
So at least you know what you're getting,
It's,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the continuity. So, that's my June. That's June calendar. That's July. That's August. And this is going back. courts that are choosing to just all of a sudden turn off Zoom a month, 2 months ago, in some cases 3 months ago, when they scheduled the court date for next week or for the week after, they didn't know they were going to be back in person. And I was like, okay, is it going to be on Zoom? And they say, yeah, it's going to be on Zoom. So I'm like, okay, I can be here that day. Even though I've got to be in 3 other courts the same day, I can set up 2 devices or even 3 devices and be in 2 or 3 courts at the same time. I can do that. But I can't, if now all of a sudden they yank your Zoom away. So I'm glad to hear that you're not doing that, Judge Fleischer. But I don't know how much the judges thought about the fact that, hey, I'm one of 38 other courts in Harris County. And some of these defense attorneys, even though the prosecutors are assigned to that court, we defense attorneys, we work in all the courts. We work in multiple counties like Jed across the state. And now all of a sudden courts are just flipping a switch and expecting us to be there in person.
Has a misdemeanor court in Harris County turned off their Zoom?
Not a misdemeanor court, but I don't just handle misdemeanors.
Yes.
Neither does JV,
Yes.
neither does Jed.
No. Yes. So yes. I had a client today. Judge Raul Rodriguez, man, I love you. You and I are boys, and we're hombres, and we kick it. But I went into his court today. My client was kicked off Zoom twice, and because from what I understand, the court doesn't want Zoom anymore. Now, granted, nothing happened to my client. I reset her. It was fine. There wasn't a deal. No big deal. It was reset. Everything worked fine. However, my client was texting me like, oh, I've been kicked out of the room. And then I don't know if you know, but when you get kicked out of the room, you can't come back in for like 24 hours or something. Like when you get kicked out, not when you accidentally log out. I'm talking when you get kicked out. She got kicked out. And when I went down there, because I had an issue that I had to address, it was like, oh, that's fine. You're going to address, you're here, not a problem. But there's no more Zoom. That was Court 13 today.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, the 209th just announced earlier this week that they're not doing Zoom anymore. The 176 a couple weeks ago announced that. But when all the cases that I have in there were rescheduled, before that, there was no plan. We knew Zoom was not going to be forever. But there was no, like, here's when the end date will be. And I think that there should be a period of phase out to, like, okay, next time you reset this, it's going to be in person. So pick a day when you can be here in person. Because this is going to be, the next 2 months are going to be pretty much flying by the seat of my pants.
Just, all I could say is just get ready. Because, I mean, it's happening more and more. So just be prepared.
I'm ready for
hopefully nothing bad happens.
Judge, some of the questions are, one of the questions is, people enjoy watching trials in the afternoon and enjoy live streaming. Are you going to continue to live stream your court?
Yeah, of course yes. Yeah.
My brother-in-law will be happy.
Well, are there guidelines?
The only reason I don't live stream is if I perhaps forget, but I live stream nearly every day. I have nothing to hide. I mean,
well, of course.
There's nothing. You know what I mean? Just
right.
Let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's work, man.
I think the definition of an open court in 2021 is a live stream.
I agree.
Mean, that's just. It's just. I mean, this is where we are. That's the world we live in. And I don't think there's any substitute for an in-person trial with respect to your right to confrontation. But as far as like the world knowing what we're doing and seeing it, I mean, I think that's the definition of an open court. I think that that should be part of the law in Texas, that trials need to be live streamed. I think that they should. I mean, why wouldn't you?
When the dust clears, because
Not a reason.
I believe
perhaps sensitivity issues, but other than that,
yeah. But the thing is, it's kind of, to me, it's just, if you don't do that, it's just, I mean, it's an open thing anyway. It's got to be, and it's like in 2021 that involves the internet and a person being able to see what's going on.
At the end of the day, because we're going to have jury trials back by the end of the year at the CJC is the rumor. Maybe by October, as early as August, as late as September.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Can't wait.
I sent an email to Judge Hidalgo's office, and her assistant responded and said that they just, as soon as they can, if they can get it to start in August, they really.
So I ask everybody, was it worth it? Was it worth spending however much we spent at NRG? Is it worth all of the legal implications that are around? Was it worth all of it? What do y'all say?
I say no. I think
No.
I think it's been a huge waste of money, and I think that I understand the other side of the equation. Let's say you have somebody that's wrongfully accused and is in custody for whatever reason. One extra day in custody, you can't attach a value to that. But at the same time, the number of trials that have taken place, in my opinion, the Sixth Amendment problems it creates, I just don't. I don't think it was a cost effective, if that's the approach you want to take.
When has Harris County ever been cost effective?
Yeah,
Sure,
I mean,
fair enough.
You know,
yeah. I just
They
think,
try to be when it comes to paying indigent defense attorneys.
yeah.
What do you think, Judge?
yeah, I agree.
I mean, you were one of the ones that, like you said, stood strong and said, we'll have jury trials when we have them. Has your docket just been destroyed, or is it not as bad as the monster that everybody
it's
pictures
bad.
it?
No, it's bad.
No, I think
It's
bad.
it's terrible.
Where does that pressure come from, Judge? Like who pressures to
Administration tells us, look, guys, every time we have people coming in, it costs money, right? The more people you
who's
have
administration?
on docket,
Who is administration? Who is this?
court administration. There's a court administration that deals with all
Sure.
the, court minutia, day to day, staffing, keeping the CJC in repair, making sure that the toilets are cleaned, that there's toilet paper, all the little.
So what,
minute
they're
details
emailing
that
you
people
like on a weekly basis or monthly basis saying like your docket's too big in our arbitrary determination?
Well, no, we know. I mean, remember back in the early 2000s, a heavy dock would be like 60, maybe 80 people. Now, me on a day, I have at least minimum every day, at least 100 to 100 and perhaps 110 to 120 people, and it's difficult to talk to everybody to find a
fair.
resolution when I have, look. I don't want to keep you waiting. I love you guys. I know you have a ton of crap to do, and I don't want you to sit on Zoom for 45 minutes. I don't. But when I have a list of 45 lawyers waiting to talk to me for something because they're lacking this or they're lacking that, that's what suffers. You guys bear the brunt of that because the cases just keep building up. They either don't move or we're waiting on evidence. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but what I'm telling you is what happens. What is the consequence of the act of there being more cases? Is that you guys are feeling that. You're feeling that.
If somehow, I think one of the number one things that, and this is the function of bond reform, one of the number one things we deal with is that the magistrates are setting conditions that all of us know in the vast majority of courts, whether felony or misdemeanor, that judge isn't going to require that as a condition. And so like on a first appearance, I understand that you show up in person, but if the magistrates somehow, I don't know what the solution is to this, but if they somehow knew that these are the bond conditions that the judges are going to set in this county, and I'm not going to set the extra bond conditions, that's a big thing that we're dealing with. And that's why, that's why we usually are approaching. There's some bond condition, person's got a DWI first and they get a scram device. It's like, we have to approach on that. I mean, that's just the standard thing. You can't travel outside, of Harris County and contiguous counties. That's something that we deal with all the time. I mean, my office, I would venture to say between me, my associate, and my paralegals, 60% of what we do is dealing with amending bond conditions. And so, I mean, that's just, JV, you deal with that, I'm sure.
We're putting witnesses up, testimony up, evidence up to litigate bond conditions. I was going to ask you, as far as bond hearings and things that are happening in your court, and you talk specifically about your court, are people presenting evidence in defense and or to prosecute
Absolutely, of
bonds? I
course.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean,
if I have someone that's got a bond violation, and I had it the other day where they said, look, this is the issue. This is why we had this, and um,
do,
I'm going to continue supervision.
do you find that there has been people are more efficient or less efficient as the DAs have come back into your courtroom, or to the building? What do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that yet.
I will say that so it used to be real easy to email the prosecutor and go through your docket. Email them like at 8 in the morning, and if you're lucky, you get responses. And respectfully, I'm not throwing any prosecutor in the bus. All of y'all are real responsive. Everything. But however, the idea of
No, they're not.
well, okay, well that's not the point. The point what I was trying to make is that part is gone, and so because they're now all in the building, so we have to go back to having to talk to them individually. And at least I have found number one, I like it because I can see them face to face as we negotiate. However, on the flip side, I have found that things that were usually getting done maybe in the morning or the day before aren't getting done until now we're back at court because you can't get a hold of the DAs. At the same time, I think a lot of people would say that because they're finally back in the courthouse that you can get a hold of them and talk to them a little bit more. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think, there's, I've had pretty good luck in people communicating.
Me too.
I've had in email, and even like in the for people that are comfortable in the Zoom, direct messaging in Zoom and having them look at things. It's like we've been able to get a lot of stuff resolved. And so I think it's good to be. The prosecutors need to be in the courthouse,
Right.
But the defendants don't need to be there every single day. For nothing. To show up in downtown and for no reason. If there's not a bond violation, if it's not an adversarial proceeding or an initial appearance. See, I kind of agree with the judge as far as an initial appearance. It's kind of like whatever led to you being accused of a crime, okay? Unjustifiably accused. It's kind of like a check-in for everybody on day one. I don't.
There's a difference between you seeing me on Zoom versus you seeing me on the bench
on day one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It really can,
That's why
especially for a young kid who, it really can have an impact, and I hope it does.
I agree.
We live our lives on these things, and criminal cases carry real life consequences, not virtual consequences. That's why I also don't really mind when I'm in a court and the judge enters the room and it's all rise and we all stand up. I don't mind that. I think that we need to kind of have a little bit of a reset in whatever we're doing right before that happens and go, oh, we're in a court of law. We're in, ultimately a place which is kind of why all this stuff exists and we have this civilized society. It's supposed to kind of all come down to that kind of personal touch in some ways. And you've got to have an understanding of how the system works before that's going to happen. I spend a lot of time with clients getting to understand, like, okay, you may not agree with that condition. You may not agree with that order, but it's signed by a judge. So you got to follow it. We can go try to get it changed and all that kind of stuff. But you have to understand that a judge signed that, a judge ordered that. We've got to do that until we can get it changed. And there's just a lack of understanding, I think, of the system in a lot of ways. Well, I agree. Zoom it all. Put it all on live stream so people can stop learning what trials and courts look like from Law and Order and NCIS and start seeing it for real and what it really is.
The only thing was, I remember, a lot of lawyers would get paid in the courthouse with their clients.
Right.
So I think that can also have an impact on defense lawyers too. So if someone is prohibiting entry, a lot of lawyers like to meet with their clients out there, because that's how they meet with them and they work. I don't
Sometimes
have
that look like a
problem if
shakedown,
people
though.
want to come in, if people want to Zoom, if people want to come in, I'm going to keep it for the foreseeable future. And,
Do you
If you get rid of it, just phase it out over a couple of months. Don't spring it on people.
do you like the DAs being back in? Judge, are you there? I mean, I saw you. I popped into.
I'm there
court.
every day.
Yeah, I figured. When did you come back?
I don't know, what, 2 months?
Oh wow! I got to get back in your court more often. I haven't been there in a minute, and
I love it. For me, when I was a defense lawyer, I sold myself. That's what I did.
Right.
Like Jed does, like you, Justin. You sell yourself. People know you, and I think that you achieve a lot when you have that camaraderie, when you get to know someone. It really can work to your benefit. And I like being back in person. I'm happy that we're back, and I can't wait for everybody.
I enjoy going to the courthouse also. I mean, it's like I like hanging out with you guys, and it's fun for us. It's like this is kind of like our second family, and but our clients, it's not the same. It's for them, they're leaving a job, they're having to find childcare for nothing, for an inconsequential court appearance. You have somebody accused of a misdemeanor DWI, and you're waiting to get a blood test result, or you're waiting to get the video, and their boss is already pissed off at them because they missed a day of work and they were arrested. And then they're going to be doing the court thing, and once a month they're going to miss a day of work, and then it's just it really it's pointless. It's pointless. I get it. First appearance, pretrial motions, trial. I get all that, but the just like show up for nothing is just. I think we all know there's a better way of doing it.
Has anybody? What are y'all's opinions on the switch from the probation department to pretrial services monitoring most people? I have found that pretrial services is a little bit more invasive, and this whole, like, for example, a lot of my clients are getting they have to call in every single morning and get a color, like like Fort Bend does.
I've been doing something where I tell the defendants that come in, I say, look, and I tell this a lot, and I know that my staff is probably going just going crazy because they hear it a lot, but I say, to the defendants that, relationships are built on trust. If I can trust you, that goes a long way. If I know that I'm not going to have a problem with you, I will modify your bond conditions. You can test when you come to court, or you can, if I know that I can trust you, I'm not going to test you at all. But if I'm going to have an issue with you, then I can't trust you, and then you're going to get tested. And so what I've been doing is that if someone comes into me and they're 3 months into their case and they have no violations and they're good, I'll either take them off bond conditions or I'll have them test on their court dates. But it's based on trust. I need to know that I can trust you, that you're not going to go out there and kill someone, or that you're not going to consume. And so as far as pretrial services, I take it upon myself to look at the defendants to see, can I trust you? And if I can, I'm willing to work with you. So you don't have to call in every day or go in every week or whatnot,
Have you found any issues with the communication between what happens in court and pretrial services? Initially, we had issues with communications and violations and things like that. Are you okay with people? For example, pretrial will send an email and copy everybody. I typically don't like to respond to the judge. I mean, I like to respond to the court as a whole. When an email comes out, maybe like you have a bond violation and it's, but
I don't expect you to reply, but okay. I like that you are notified so all right? And
we should be.
I reach out to you personally.
Right.
And I call defense lawyers nearly every day and I say, hey man, we've got an issue. Can you come to court? Can you make your client come? And I give everyone a solid week because I'm not hailing them in the next day for them to upend and do everything. You know, I try to give them at least a week notice so they can take care of their business so they don't have any issues when they need jobs or whatnot, you know.
Well, so what else?
I think pretrial services has gotten a little heavy-handed lately. They're kind of like the old probation department used to be, and the probation they got reeled in. CSCD got reeled in, and pretrial services seems to be acting that way. I mean, why do their auto text messages have to be in all caps?
They
Like, can't
freak
someone just
people
go
out.
in the
Are
computer
you really
system
complaining
and, like,
about that? Are you really
I'm not-
complaining about that? I mean, come on,
Okay.
Justin
dude.
Harris, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
one of
Justin
my
Harris.
complaints. But I keep getting the screenshots from my clients. I'm like, God, why are they yelling
Justin.
at you?
Justin,
Like-
pick and choose your battles.
Yeah,
No, I'm really
I-
bad about that. I'm really
I-
bad about it. Let's
I-
get
Justin's
jury in the
very
room.
bad about
Everything's
that.
a battle. Let's
I,
go.
I have to side
But-
with the Honorable David Fleischer on that.
Hey,
I just say it's an auto thing. Just go in the computer and just change some of them to lowercase words.
Oh,
But they have gotten
I mean, come on, dude. Really?
large case.
they have gotten a little bit harsh lately, not just in their text message
Justin.
etiquette.
Justin.
The only thing I'm going to say is if they are heavy-handed, go to the judge.
Hey, Justin, how about instead of that, we go see Deputy Hatches?
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But you know, the one problem I've been having, judges, the judges will change the bond conditions. Like, okay, you don't have to check in every time there's a court date, just if you have a court date and your appearance is not waived. But then pretrial is telling my client, I still want you to come in every 60 days.
Yeah.
I'll have all the other monitoring stripped away. There's no UAs. There's nothing. I literally have messages that my client has sent me in the last week where they're like, I still want you to come in every 60 days. I want to see your face. And the judge has specifically said, I don't want you to have to do that. You have a special needs child.
That's news to me. I've not even
But
heard
it's
that.
not in your court where you would know about it. The judge that is does know about it too. But where is the pretrial person coming up with that?
I have a question.
Not me. I don't know.
How is it
It was
that
rhetorical.
so we have people that are sitting in custody that have been in custody an extra long time because of the pandemic, that are waiting for trial, that are going to go to trial? And how is it that we're using jury panels to try an on bond misdemeanor DWI case when there's a person that's a habitual felon, but that could be wrongfully accused of an offense, who wants nothing more to go to trial? So how is it that we're burning jury panels on the misdemeanor bond cases when they're felony habitual people waiting to go to trial, potentially wrongfully accused? How's that happen?
Mismanagement of resources.
I mean,
I think Harris County's also been accused of before.
My misdemeanor clients, they appreciate getting to, their cases resolved, but it's really the vast majority of the time, it's just convenience and, them wanting it to be behind them. But what about the person or our clients that are sitting in jail that are habituals or, for whatever reason, they don't have a bond? I mean, it's just, I have a problem with that.
I do too.
I do too.
I didn't realize there were two white dogs. Okay, now
Their system.
things running around in the background
I don't.
make more sense.
Are you talking about something in specific, Jed? I mean, how is this happening?
Well, it's
Why
happening.
is the
a lot.
defense lawyer not? I mean, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. It's
Well, we
happening.
don't have the way to coordinate. Like, oh, you've got a client who's a habitual who's in jail on just this case. Okay, well, judge, don't let me go. Let that person go ahead. We don't have a way of knowing
Yeah, we
what
don't
else
have
is
a
on
way
the
of
docket.
Well, the defense lawyer knows, files the appropriate motion, a speedy trial or whatnot.
I agree. I don't. I mean, but it happens. I've tried an on bond. The trial before last was an on bond DWI. Now, we were all very grateful for the trial. It resulted in it wasn't a not guilty, but it was a time served on a DW, which was better than the offer that was offered. But it was like we didn't have to do it. We didn't have to do it, but we had to do it. And it was a little odd, and he got his case disposed of, and the case is closed. But it's not like he was running up and roaring to go.
Yeah, I just think, it seems like we're at the tail end of it anyway.
I agree.
a much more efficient use of resources would have been, okay, we're going to do the NRG thing, but it's got to be somebody that's in custody, number one, their case, then we're going to do it according to age. And if people have motions for continuance for whatever reason, we're going to deal with that. But if there's any person in this county that's sitting in custody that wants a trial, and my client goes to trial on a misdemeanor bond case, that's just, I don't know. I do know that's ridiculous.
It is. The judge is supposed to be submitting their their short list of cases for trial to these administrators, and the administrators are supposed to be at least have the authority to approve or disapprove.
Isn't it like
Judge
a month?
Fletcher, I'm just kind of
You got to put him in like
from the
a
hip here,
month
so you know better
before?
than I do. So somebody's supposed to be having some oversight of that.
Yeah.
I had a client who was not in state. We were set for trial like 3 or 4 times, and I told the judge, he's on bond, he's not in state, he's not coming back for trial. He understands what that's going to mean, but he's not coming back for trial. And we were still given a jury panel. The attorneys were required to show up. I told for every week for a month, he's not coming for that trial setting. Can we please just set it for a bond revocation? My client was 100% on board with a warrant being issued. He could not come back and was not going to come back for the trial. They still burned a panel on that, and then they all made me sit there and watch, and they were like, "See what happens? Your client didn't show up, and all those people came down here for nothing."
Why are you stressing,
Justin
man?
Harris, I'm
not.
No, I'm
JV, man.
I'm getting the flashes back in the studio. Rap now, rap now, rap now.
So, since we have an esteemed member of the misdemeanor bar, how about just in closing, like the new Supreme Court case about a police officer needing a search warrant before going into somebody's house, even though they were in hot pursuit of a person to detain them?
I'm getting the big circle. That's going to be the lead off for the next show, because we're going live. Jed, President-elect of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, I cannot wait to see you, sir.
We're going to have a great year. I really I look forward to taking the helm.
We look forward to it. Judge Fleischer, Justin Harris, Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Welcome, and we're back. We're back.
Yeah. How's the studio smell?
It smells awesome. Yeah, rock and roll.